would say it is beautiful outside, but it is obviously not. Good happy Friday to you. That is the good thing about today. It is a nice Friday day, but it is pouring outside. Good morning. I'm your traffic safety expert, Trooper Steve. It looks like my volume is hitting high this morning. Let me make a quick little adjustment here. Check. All right, that looks a little better. It was coming into you hot. Yeah, it is ugly as all get out this morning. 100% chance of rain today. Meteorologist Michelle Morgan in for your morning meteorologist Candace Campos. And definitely not a surprise. We knew this rain was coming. Michelle pinpointed this yesterday. Let us know that, hey, we are going to have an inconvenient weather day. And I think it's an inconvenient day all around. With the things, with the weather comes bad driving, because weather traffic conditions not the best on the road this morning. For the first hour, we looked pretty good. And then it blew up, man. I tell you, it totally blew up out there. So today's topic, a hot topic. A topic that not everyone is qualified to talk about. I don't even know if I'm overly qualified. What am I kidding? Yes, I am. And it's the topic of carrying a weapon in your vehicle. So I don't plan on driving the whole time. I know the rain is a little loud. We're going to find ourselves a nice location, pull off, and talk for a second. You can see the roadway conditions. Not the most gorgeous thing out here today, but we'll find a nice little safe spot. We'll pull on over, let the rain fall, we'll enjoy it, and we'll have a nice discussion here. So we're going to pull off here to Ace Road off of John Young Parkway, find a little spot out here, and kind of hang out with you guys for a second and talk about carrying a firearm in your vehicle. And we'll go through those steps here in just a second. So I hope you guys are having a good start to your day. It is interesting out. I know we're gonna go. We're gonna pull off over here. If you guys ever been to Grills is like a prime spot for us here at News 6. If you're familiar, it might be because they've got a place out in Cocoa as well. So we'll pull off here. We'll talk about it. For those that are joining us, we are gonna talk about carrying a firearm in your vehicle and some of the safety tips of what I suggest you do from a law enforcement perspective, what the law says, and of course, what the responsible thing is. You know, having a firearm is not only your right, but there does come a large sense of responsibility that comes with it. I am an extreme proponent to personal safety. However, I'm no dummy, and I also preach heavily that we need to do this safely. There does come a level of cognitive responsibility that comes with it. Although that may not be required by law, you should be very familiar with how things are conducted with that firearm. So today we're going to go over a few things before we jump into the meat and potatoes of concealed carry. But I do want to find a safe place that we could pull off to and then have this discussion. So why don't we do that? All right, guys, so I'm pulled off here. I'm going to stop the wiper blades and all that stuff. I am going to take my seatbelt off. We are in a parked location at the moment, and we're going to sit here for a good portion of this demonstration and this discussion. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna take my belt off and I could face you guys a little bit better. So if you are here or new to the state of Florida, Florida is what we call, it's a slang term, constitutional carry. Kind of encompasses here in the state of Florida that, hey, you don't need to get a concealed weapons permit as long as you have a valid government-issued identification on you. You are a Florida resident and you're over the age of 21. You can carry that firearm. Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill HB 543, which strengthens Florida's Second Amendment rights by allowing Floridians to carry concealed weapons permit without a government issued permit. A permit is different than an ID. It went into effect July 1 of last year, making Florida the 26th state for constitutional carry. Now, I am by no means, and none of this is going to be an opinion based. This is all just me reading from what the state of Florida has instilled here for your purposes of protecting yourself. A few little tidbits that I wanted to go over and just to talk about this before we jump into the nuts and bolts of it. So on July 1st of last year, that constitutional carry took place. So it changed the way we do things a little bit here in the state of Florida from a law enforcement perspective, and the way you can carry a weapon. So first and foremost, you would be required to have a driver's license or some form of identification. I always have my driver's license on me, and this would allow me, Steven Montiero, to carry a concealed weapon in the state of Florida. So let's break down a few things, and we're going to go through a lot. I might be a little scatterbrained. I just want to make sure we hit a lot of different things. I've got producer Donovan in my ear just in case I forget something. He's got maybe a question you might think of. So let's talk about real quick concealed versus open carry and what is truly required. So if I was sitting here in the car right now, concealed would be you cannot ever see the weapon. In the state of Florida, I don't know where some of you guys got the idea. Even as a cop, I'm not allowed to do this. But a lot of people will market different carrying items to carry a weapon in your car. But before even this House bill was signed, you could never expose a weapon in your vehicle. Meaning, your weapon always had to be concealed in the car. Now, your vehicle is an extension of your home. Meaning, even before this was signed, you did not need a permit in order to carry the firearm in the car. What changed when this House bill was signed? What changed was, from it being in a compartment concealed, you can now carry that firearm on your person, concealed without the permit, in your car. We're going baby steps here. So I'm going to close this so I could see you guys a little. The light's good. It lets you guys see me a little bit better. So I do have a demonstration firearm. It is a training weapon. This is not a real firearm. So we're going to be using this demo here. This is a training firearm, and so that we can demonstrate exactly what concealed and what concealed carry the definition of it is, and how you should be concealing. Now, I do not have a holster for this weapon, but we will talk about a few things. First and foremost, I want to repeat that this is a training weapon required by law. It has the orange tip on the front. This is not a real firearm, but with any firearm, you want to make sure that this weapon is not loaded and it is deemed safe. As a former firearms instructor, even when I go to the range, we always make sure our weapons are clear and that they are not hot. What I mean by hot is that these firearms are not loaded firearms. Whether this is a training weapon or not, should be instilled that whenever you are handling something that is a firearm, you should clear that weapon and deem that weapon safe. By doing so, we place the weapon on safe. We drop the magazine from the weapon itself. Remember, this is not a clip. This is a weapon. This is a magazine. Anybody who calls this a clip that comes out of this does not know what they're talking about when it comes to firearms. So if someone refers to this when they drop this out and they call it a clip, you need to be a little skeptical of who is instructing you and when they're talking. This is a magazine. So we drop the magazine. Obviously, this is a demo weapon, so there's no bullets in here. We're going to rack the slide a little bit, make sure that no anything comes out. It is locked back, and when the slide is locked back, this lets us know that there are no bullets, no ammunition within this firearm, and that the slide is now locked to the rear. This is demonstrating a clear and safe firearm. Okay? No magazine, nothing. We have the orange tip, training only written on the side, demo right here. Again, not a real firearm. So, in the state of Florida, if I wanted to carry this here while driving, this is legal. Concealed on my person in the state of Florida while driving, this is legal. Why? Because of the House bill, if you are over the age of 21, you are allowed to carry this on your person concealed to protect yourself and property. Meaning, when I am driving, as long as it is in a safe position and it is concealed, I am in current good standings. I've got my driver's license, but I also have a concealed weapons permit. Hey, I also have state law enforcement credentials. One of the questions that was presented was, hey, what happens if a law enforcement officer is coming up to my vehicle here and I have been pulled over for a traffic violation? When that law enforcement comes up to the car and says, I need to see your license, registration, your proof of insurance, do I have to disclose that this firearm is on me? We're going to answer this question. So, if you are a concealed weapons permit carrier, if you are a concealed weapon carrier and you're choosing to do this, there's a lot of things that you need to understand. One, you are choosing to carry a large responsibility on your person. You are choosing to be a responsible adult. So with that, you need to understand the role of law enforcement officers, okay? They don't know who you are, and we as cops cannot verify rather quickly whether or not you have a concealed permit issued to you from our laptops in our car. We don't have that database here. A lot of people, oh, you can just run my stuff. One, I don't know what I'm running, and two, I don't know what stuff is. So, all right, that law enforcement officer is coming up to the car. I know I was speeding. I know why they pulled me over. Hear me out. Hands on the steering wheel, vehicle in park. If weather permits, lower your windows, activate your hazard lights, and don't move. Just sit here, hold on to the steering wheel, and don't move. Why am I saying don't move? Because so many people are like, oh, well, the gun did this, the gun did that. No, the hands do it. So if the hands are here, and I could see both hands as the cop coming up to this window, I'm totally okay. I don't care what you have in the car, because between our interaction and those communications, your hands are visible. This is not difficult to do. You are being lawfully detained when you are pulled over. Let me explain that. When those lights go on behind you and you start getting pulled over and you see the police lights, you are now being lawfully detained. You're not free to go. So cooperate, right? A lot of people want to argue or do certain things. Keep in mind, I'm just telling you the safest way we should do this. You know you're getting pulled over. You know you have a weapon on you, okay? It's concealed. It's sitting somewhere on your person. It is not visible. So hands on the steering wheel. It is not the time to go digging around for things. A lot of us will reach for our driver's license, start going into the glove box for things. Do not do that. Stay still and just hang out. Tell your passenger, don't move around. Wait for that law enforcement officer, whether he or she has a question for you, if they're going to talk. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Ma'am, the reason why I'm stopping you, sir, the reason why I'm stopping is you're doing 65 miles an hour in a posted 45 zone. I need to see your license, registration, your proof of insurance. They're not, if they don't ask for your conceal, they're asking for your license, your registration, your proof of insurance. Okay, hands stay on the steering wheel. As a responsible driver, a responsible adult, a responsible person with a firearm on them, under your constitutional rights here in the state of Florida, you should consciously be very aware that this individual out here has a very difficult job. They don't know you have a gun on you, okay? So, you're here. Sir or ma'am, I would then be like, hey, look, my license is down over here. My glove box has my registration, my insurance. Do you mind if I go reach for it? Sure, go for it. They know where you're reaching at that point. You're helping them. They're helping you. You guys are both using teamwork in order to make the traffic stop normal. If you're just joining us this morning, we're talking about concealed carry in the vehicle and what you're supposed to do when you're pulled over. Okay, I do have a demonstration firearm concealed underneath here. It is not a real firearm. It is a demonstration firearm that we have already cleared on the stream. So they come up here, you're reaching. Now, it is totally up to you if you would like to disclose you have a firearm on you. We are not a forcefully disclosure state, so you are not required to inform, hey, look, I have a gun on me. You don't have to do that. Where's the catch? If the law enforcement officer asks if there are any firearms in the vehicle, then it's time to disclose. If they don't ask, you do not have to disclose that. So, here I have a concealed gun, a handgun tucked into my waistline. It is concealed. If that law enforcement officer was able to see something protruding here, there is probable cause to ask. They have the right then to say, hey, what is that? Key, don't reach. You know you have a gun on you, right? So your hands are here. Hey, I have a concealed weapon tucked into my waist. Okay, if that law enforcement officer wants to remove that from you, they do have the right to do so for the duration of the traffic stop or the detention. Not to seize that weapon for you in any capacity, but if they feel, hey, for the purpose of the stop, I'm going to take it off until we're done. They do have a right to do that. But to answer the main question of today's stream, you do not need to disclose that. Okay? Now, if you are not a concealed carry holder, a permit, and you want to, I got to get back on track here. My mind's going crazy. So I'm going to remove the demonstration firearm. This is what we're dealing with, a demo firearm. I'm going to place it right here. Think about it from a law enforcement perspective. You want cool, calm, and cooperative people. No one ever wants to get into an altercation. I've never met a cop that wants to get into a fight with anybody on the side of the road. So at the end of the day, traffic court shouldn't be held there and should try to limit those arguments as much as possible. But you do have a right to protect yourself and to carry a firearm on you concealed in the state of Florida. We are not an open carry state. So a lot of the times I have pulled over a vehicle and a gun was sitting in the passenger seat, or it's sitting there at the center console. I don't know where you got or where you ate your Wheaties at, or if you read this on the back of a cereal box. The train is super loud. But that is not allowed under any circumstance here in the state of Florida. We are not an open carry state. You can be arrested for openly carrying a firearm here in the state of Florida. We do not allow it. A few things. Let's go over a few different things. So Florida generally allows a person 18 or older to possess a concealed firearm with the interior of a private vehicle without the license if the firearm or the other weapon is securely encased or in otherwise not readily accessible for immediate use. So what am I saying here? Is if you are 18 or older, between that little gap area, you're not allowed to conceal, but you can carry a firearm in your vehicle. Okay? This is breaking into other spots. So none of the permit, we're not even talking about getting your concealed weapons permit. We're just talking about the legal way to carry a gun in your car. Under the Florida Castle Doctrine, your vehicle is an extension of your home, and you have the same rights to protect your vehicle and anyone in it, including yourself, as you do your home. I agree with this. No one should have the right to harm you or anyone else or your property. We've worked hard for this stuff. You have the right to protect it. But you've got to do it legally, and you have to do it safely. So if you don't have a concealed weapons permit, you are between 18 and 20, and you are driving, this would still need to be concealed. It's safe, it's fake, it's a demonstration. This would need to be concealed, not on your person, in a closed compartment, and not readily accessible. Okay? Meaning, this would need to be in a glove box, out of the way, in a closed area. If it was here in the center console, I would need it in a holster and in there, not readily accessible. Then we jump to the other bracket. Here in the state of Florida, over the age of 21, don't need a permit. You do not need to go to the state agricultural office to get a state permit. You're more than welcome to do so, because then you get some firearms training. But you then can carry this concealed on your person over the age of 21. Hope this is making a little bit sense, because it's super easy if you take the time just to break it down in layman's terms. So 18 to 20, you can have it in the car, not readily accessible, in a closed compartment, and not in immediate reach. Over the age of 21 in the state of Florida, you can now carry a firearm concealed with a valid issue state of Florida government ID on your person, concealed, meaning I cannot see the weapon. There's a lot of hoorah individuals out there that want to carry just obnoxious weapons on them, and it's plain as day and it's printed. That is not concealed, because I can see that you have a weapon on you. So when you're out doing this stuff and you're looking for what you are going to choose, don't just go out and buy something that's the hot new thing. Firearms are designed for the individual. You need to find what's right for you. Also, although the state does not require training in order to have this, I think everyone should have some type of training, range time, understand how the mechanisms work, the nomenclature of a firearm, understanding your safety, your trigger press, trigger reset, your slide mechanisms, all these things on your firearm, because at the end of the day, it is an extension of you. The gun's not going to do anything unless you want it to do it, and you guys need to have an understanding of what you're actually carrying around. So the state may not require training, but I would also recommend that you do that. Get a lockbox for your vehicle if you're not going to carry it on your person, and have a good holster. I know our demonstration today was showing a concealed weapon in my waist, but I wanted to show that, hey, you can conceal it here, but never take a firearm and just slip it into your waist and hide it like that. Find a good holster that works for you, something that is feasible. The market is huge, something that is safe. There are multiple ways that you could protect the trigger well, the other buttons on the weapon. Having a brain fart here, but you want to make sure that this is not moving around, the hammer, excuse me. So there are so many levels to this. Yes, we are a constitutional state. If you're just joining us right now, we're talking about concealed carry in the vehicle when a law enforcement officer approaches you. We are a constitutional carry state, meaning you can get a permit or you don't have to. Even if you don't have the permit, there are still a lot of rules about where you can and can't carry a firearm. Public gatherings, schools, banks, government facilities. So you need to be mindful of that. But as long as that weapon is concealed, we are a non-disclosure state, meaning you are not required to disclose that you have a firearm on you for a minor traffic violation. If you are getting ready to be removed from that vehicle, you better disclose something. If you are asked, is there a weapon in the car, you better disclose something. But the state has designed this not to intimidate Second Amendment and constitutional carry holders. Because if we're being challenged all the time, hey, do you got a gun? No one's going to protect themselves. So that was actually written out, that we do not have to disclose this type of information. But we as humans need to take the right steps and do things safely. Don't be reaching around for things. We are a constitutional carry state, and the cops know that, so we are going to assume that 90% of the vehicles we're stopping may have a firearm in it. And firearms can be dangerous in the wrong hands, but they could also be a good tool in the right hands as well. So if you have a question specific to this, I can talk about carrying a gun for hours. We are limited on time, 20, 25, 30 minutes here. But I'd like to go back and dive into this again. We can go into different holster carries, how I carry in my personal vehicle in another day, even break down a weapon and talk about the different styles of it. So reach out to me over at clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, or the News 6 app. Hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook on any of your questions concerning this. But real recap, we are a constitutional carry state, meaning you are allowed to carry a concealed weapon, meaning I cannot see it. We are not an open carry state, you are allowed to conceal a weapon on your person, underneath your clothing, while driving. If you are 21 years or older and you have a valid government-issued ID to you from the state of Florida or your permit, and when stopped for minor traffic violations, you do not need to disclose that, or you are not required by law. However, the safety tips that we did say, obviously, hands on the steering wheel, don't reach for your license, registration, or insurance, wait to be instructed to do so, inform that law enforcement officer of where you're reaching, and if they ask if there's weapons in the car, then disclose it. If you know where your weapon's at, don't reach for things like that, because let's be real, it's a tense moment for everybody. No one likes getting pulled over, and from experience, there's no such thing as a routine traffic stop, and things can get pretty tense when weapons are involved. I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come and talk to you about stuff like this. I get nervous. I get just as nervous as anybody else, but I get super nervous talking about topics like this because, hey, there are two sides to this, and a lot of people agree, disagree. I'm just right in the middle. If it's your right, I want to educate you so you can do it safely. I really appreciate you guys on this ugly day. Do keep in mind my training weapon today was a demonstration training firearm, was not a real firearm. We disclosed that, we cleared it, we even taped it up to make sure that you guys saw it had the proper requirements of that beautiful orange tip, and we were able to really kind of show what you should be doing. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Please drive safely today. It is ugly, and of course it is totally up to us to drive. Have a great weekend. If you are going to carry a firearm, do it safely. I absolutely love you guys, and we'll talk soon. Have a good weekend.